episode number 5 of the Mind to Lead podcast. I am super excited because I am sat here today with Anna Richards. Anna, amazing to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's just start by, if you could give us a little bit of an introduction of who you are and a little bit about your background.
Amazing. I always say fundamentally, it's funny, I was just at an event during the week and they were like, go around the room and tell us about yourself. And everyone was like, blah, 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 blah. And it got to me and I'm like, I'm a life enthusiast. So first and foremost, I always say that. I'm just deeply, wholly a life enthusiast. However, more about me is I started my entrepreneurial journey when I was 18. I was working in an accounting firm. There's so much to me, so many facets, but I was working in an accounting firm and I always say this was like my foot in the door. I was just a junior admin and I used to stick wealthy people's tax returns and I would flip straight to the back every time. I'd answered phones and got coffee, but I also stuck their tax returns. And I remember I used to stick these tax returns and go straight to the back to see their profit and loss. And I remember I always used to see, millions or hundreds and thousands of dollars for business owners. And then I would do the company's employees and they were on tens of thousands. And I always used to say to them, it was a lot of men. And that's another reason why I'm passionate about women entrepreneurs. But a lot of men would come in and I'm like, how do you do this? How did you start your company? How do you earn this money? And that's as well where that energy of the quality of your life is the quality of your questions, because they were the ones that were like, well, young lady, ask questions, find the need in the market and start your own business. And so I was 18 years of age. Morgan, my now husband, was in my life, but we were dating sort of. But that's where I saw the need. I always used to say I felt like my generation, this is even back then, pre-Tinder, pre-apps, they needed to date more and court one another more. And so I started this dating website for 18 to 30-year-olds called Possibly Maybe. Wrote a business plan, took out a business loan, and at the time I was working full-time and studying full-time. And I was doing that amongst everything else. And then I got poached from that job into federal politics. So then I was in federal politics for 4 years, closed down my dating website. I always say it was the apprenticeship to entrepreneurship. Loved it. Absolutely taught me a lot in terms of grit, failure, and more failure, which I'm so grateful for. But yeah, then I was 20, turning 21 when I then got poached into politics, and I spent 4 years in federal politics. Whilst in federal politics, I just was never, I always had busy feet. It wasn't the thing for me. And people used to look at me and go, Anna, you're 21 on this 6-figure income. We used to fly the private jets to Parliament House, all these amazing things. And I was happy, but it wasn't for me. I'd hit glass ceilings. I worked my way up to the top very young, and I constantly wanted more. And I always used to think back to the tax returns. I'm like, well, I want to be earning the back page, because I think when good people make great money, they can do extraordinary things. Yeah. And so that was my journey. And then at 25, stress off my head working in federal politics, I was into health and fitness, and a product came along to help me with that. And it happened to be connected to network marketing. Now, again, I'd done a business degree. I had a double major in human resource management and minor in entrepreneurship. I'd spent 4 years inside Parliament House. I'd started a business at 18. So I considered myself an intelligent woman. And when these products fell on my lap, which I was already obsessed with, and attached to network marketing, which my naivety was the gift because people can be anti it. But when it fell on my lap, as an educated, intelligent woman, the business model made sense. Low risk to no risk. You didn't have to hold stock. You didn't have to do a business plan. There was nothing like that. You could sell a product, take a product direct to market and earn a profit. So I dove into that head first, and I remember my boss was like, this is what you've wanted. This is what you've been looking for. And he bought me the 4-hour work week and inscribed, go and find what you're looking for. And that was 6.5 years ago. I earned my first $1 million in that within 5 years. Travel the world. My husband and I live debt-free. We have an extraordinary life. So there's a lot to it, but that's kind of the quickest way that I can condense it.
Wow. Okay. There's a lot there
Yeah.
and a lot that I'm going to unpack. So this is really exciting. So what a journey.
Thank you.
And I have to say, from knowing you for the short time I've been blessed to know you, you're an absolute beacon of hope, energy, and everything you've just said there is just so true to think who you are. So one of the first things I want to touch on is something that we are both extremely passionate about, which is women entrepreneurship.
Yes.
So I know that you're a huge advocate for this. You do a lot of giving back. So let's unpack that a little bit. So when you speak to women and they're sort of, I feel like, unfortunately, women are more fearful than men. You know, I do find that when I speak to a lot of women, and there's sort of always fear and these scarcities about, you know, society and how to start. So what advice would you give to a woman listening to this right now who perhaps wants to start their own business and, you know, is going through that right now?
Amazing question. And I wish that we could have more of this conversation globally. So I believe, two things. I think instead of looking, because this was me back when I was 21, and I'm so grateful for my boss in politics. I used to introduce myself because politics was a man's world. It is, and it still is. And I used to go, and he just honored and respected me as a woman and as a young person with energy and wanting to make this. I was the pit bull of parliament, they used to say. Like, I always wanted to like make an impact and disrupt. But I always used to start conversations, you know, he'd bring me into, you know, meet Alan Joyce, the CEO of Qantas. And I didn't like something he'd say. So I'd sort of kick in, and my boss DJ would always be like, go on, like poke the bear. But I used to say, I know I'm only a woman. I know I'm a woman and I'm young, but. And my boss said to me, if you say that again, I'll fire you. Like, being a woman is your strength. Own it. And so the first piece of advice I would say is that we are, and I believe we are more timid. We do step back a little bit. So the two things that I'll always say is being a woman is our superpower. I truly believe it's the woman that will heal the world. We are the ones that can and will heal everything that's going on in the world. This is woo-woo, but I always say, you know, she's not called Mother Earth for no reason. So I think when we heal our world, we can heal the world. But I also think as well, like, women have to understand that, and everybody, like, this is gender, not gender specific, but for women, we are the ones that have less confidence. I always say to all women, just by you walking into a room, the mere presence of you makes that room better. And that's what I think women have to understand. So in starting their business, well, you starting your business, the mere fact that you will show up to a business meeting or make the pitch or step up or speak up or show up, the mere fact that you've done that makes the world a better place. So it's having the confidence to know that, to know your worth, and then understanding that your superpower is the fact that you're a woman.
So let's talk about confidence there, because I think that that's something that some people say, oh, you know, people are naturally confident. I disagree with that. I was extremely shy in school, and I've created the person that I am today. So how does somebody go about gaining more confidence? Would you have any advice or tips on that?
Absolutely, yes. So confidence is a skill, and confidence takes practice, but courage is the big thing. You have to have courage before you have confidence. Courage always comes before confidence. No, I don't care unless you're Kanye West. And I joke all the time. I'm like, you've got Kanye West confidence. Unless you are Kanye West, you are not innately born. Like, you can't walk into any room with that God complex, although he's calmed down now. But you can have courage, and you can have courage. And that's where that whole knowing your worth to ask for that raise, or knowing your worth, like having the courage to put the business idea on paper, or having the courage to speak up, or having the courage to say no, or having the courage to say yes. The courage comes before the confidence. But what happens is little by little by little, because you're taking those courageous steps, and it's scary and you'll shake, you know, who's that beautiful girl? And she's like, speak even if your voice shakes. She was bullied and she committed suicide, but it's a coin she termed, but I love it. Like, you have the courage to speak up, step out, show up. And through that courageousness, the confidence does come. And now, you know, courage is innate to me now, but the confidence is still a skill. And, you know, I went to a couple of events by myself the last week, And people even ask me all the time, Anna, how do you even do that? Like, I want to go to these events, but I don't have anyone to go with. And I'm like, you just have to have the courage to walk into the room, have the courage to scan the room to find someone, have the courage to go and say hello. And through that, confidence will be built. But if you don't have the courage to take the first step, the confidence is never going to come.
I think as well, it's actually not just women. I think there's a lot of men with social anxiety out there as well. And I think that as human beings, where we sort of struggle sometimes is actually putting ourselves out of our comfort zone. You know, when I found to build my confidence was I was constantly putting myself in situations that felt uncomfortable. But then when I was in them, I thought, this isn't as bad as what I thought.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of looking for opportunities to go, right, this week I'm going to go to that meetup, or I'm going to go and talk to that person. And I guess that's how you would build it. Would you have
absolutely.
any? Yeah.
And absolutely. And it's just saying yes more. I just believe life begins at the end of your comfort zone. It just does.
Yeah.
Everything that is good and fun and all the money, my mentor always says, all the good, the money, the sex is like, it all ends, or it all begins at the end of your comfort zone. And it's true, but it's just having the courage to step out of that comfort zone, to understand that and to step into that. And from that, the confidence grows for sure.
And then to make that move into sort of getting out of your comfort zone. So I guess people would be sitting there going, well, I'm quite comfortable where I am, and, you know, I'm quite happy where I am. But then if they're really truthful with themselves, they're perhaps not. Perhaps they want to start that business, or perhaps they want to get out and, you know, experience, you know, meet new friends or have a new relationship. So how in a sort of a world where I think we are just relying too much on technology and social media, and I think that's kind of a little bit part of the problem, like social media isn't so social, what do you sort of see the future for like this whole like connection piece, and how we can start like building connections, and, you know, and where do we find the motivation to want to push ourselves out of the comfort zone as well?
It's a conversation that needs to be had, because they're saying at the moment that loneliness has actually taken like the number one fear, I think it was public speaking. So my husband always jokes and says, it's the normal joke, but people would rather be in a coffin than speak at their own funeral. Like public speaking used to be feared more than death. And now it's speaking to people, it just like connecting. So not public speaking, just speaking to a new person. However, devastatingly, the statistic is that one of the number one causes of death now globally is loneliness.
Yeah.
So I just think knowing that and understanding the impact that social media is having on us, understanding the impact that loneliness is having on us, I think, and this is something that I did, and even last week, it's such a good example, I'd said to Morgan, because especially being, I'm like pointing to Carl as well, but being business owners, we can get stuck in our laptop in our home because we work from home. I said to Morgan, oh my gosh, I'm isolating myself. I need to get to events. And so I booked a couple of events just to push myself, and it was uncomfortable. It's still uncomfortable for me. I went to 3 different networking events, and they weren't even networking, but it was like a workshop on events, hilariously. It was just like a meetup for, you know, business entrepreneurs, and then it was a success resources event. But it was just to get out of the house and connect and have a laugh with some new people, and I did that. So I think there's nothing that you could say or do to inspire someone to want to get out of the house, but it's just understanding that if you continue to isolate yourself, it's only going to get worse and worse, and you're part of the problem, not the solution of connection.
I totally agree. And one thing that I always love about you is your energy. You've just got this vibrance to you, and I absolutely love it. So let's talk about how you've constructed that, because, you know, some people, you know, they get out of bed every day and they're like, oh, another day, another this, another that. So let's actually talk about something we're both passionate about, which is how you start your day, morning routines,
miracles,
miracle morning. So let's talk, how do you show up every day the beautiful person that you are?
Thanks, darling.
What's your routine? Share.
So my routine is, and so I'll say my routine. So my routine is, and some people, so I'm going to preface it by saying this. I give myself an hour, but there's already some of you that are listening that are like, oh, good for her. I don't have an hour. I'm already out. Right? So I take my hour and I can put it into 6 minutes for you, so you have no excuse. But for me, I have this ethos of, and I have had this for 10 years now on my self-love and self-discovery journey of giving to myself before I give to anyone else, including my husband. So my morning miracle is I get up early. So I'm a 5 a.m.er. I just always have been, pre-corporate world and sort of now entrepreneurial. And I read, I meditate, I write. So not even gratitudes, but I just journal my thoughts. I say affirmations. I do money mindset work. I look at my vision board. I move my body. I eat well. I'm really focused on health. Health is my highest priority. Like health is my number one value. And then I start my day. So people always say that how, even if it's, so I was at an event, I went to R&B Fridays on Friday night, which was wild. I love to have fun. And I was there till, I didn't get into bed till midnight. I was up at 5 a.m. to be back up in, Brisbane. So all this stuff. But I just made sure I still got up early just to get, and it wasn't an hour, but I moved my body. I did some affirmations. I made sure I put my oxygen mask on first. And then when I showed up that event, I wasn't tired. I wasn't complaining. I didn't have low energy. I was hyped. I was pumped. I had that vibrancy about me. And I do believe it's because I give to myself first.
And I am a huge believer of self-love. I think that some people who don't perhaps practice self-love think it's selfish. I've got to put my family first, or I've got, to put my kids, husband, friends, whatever it is. But what's your thoughts of someone sitting there and go, I couldn't possibly take an hour a day and dedicate that to myself?
I say change your story, yo.
Yeah.
I just change your story. Like, I think we've been conditioned to believe that, but it's like, cool, how's that working for you?
Yeah.
Take an honest look at your life. And like I said, I've got all of my best friends of kids and a couple of kids and 3 under 3 and 2 under 2 and all this stuff. So, I challenged them. I said, okay, so take what I do in an hour and make it 10 minutes. Stretch on the side of the bed, get up and do some 10 minutes of stretching or meditate or say some affirmations and watch the difference with your kids. And it's the truth. And they're like, it's transformed. Even if they've woken up 12 times in the night and been up since 4 a.m., they're like still taking that time helps them so much. So I just think we keep telling ourselves these stories, right? And we are, thoughts become things. So I don't have time for that, or that's selfish. Okay, well then that's your reality. Totally. Well then that is selfish for you, sure. But for me, I know that I show up better. I, can earn more money. I can make a bigger impact. I can feel better when I give to myself first. So change your stories, change your world. Like,
absolutely,
have a better story.
And it all comes down to that mindset piece as well, because mindset is everything. And the only way you develop your mindset is by developing yourself.
Exactly.
So I think that's huge. And what's really interesting as well, and I think that you and I spoke about this before, about the whole sort of like all or nothing and perfectionism, if I'm going to do something, I've got to do it 100% and I've got to do this. And actually it's the 10-minute, yoga class that, that you do in the morning, or that 1-minute meditation that you do is better than nothing. So
exactly.
what is your thoughts on like society, and especially for women as well, with this whole perfection culture that I think that we live in right now? We've got to be perceived to be perfect in all areas of our life, and we almost wear these masks of everything's great, and actually inside we're crumbling because we're trying to be perfect. So how do you approach that?
Well, I didn't check if I could swear on this podcast, so I won't. But I now sort of live by this ethos of F perfection. I'll say F. Good girl. But done is better than perfect. Yeah. Done is better than perfect. So like I said, it's changing that story of, I love my PT. My PT always has said to me for years that people ask me still, they're like, Anna, what's the best workout to do? And I'm like, the one that you do. Yeah. There is no best workout. F45 is great. Throwing weights around is great. Yoga is great. Walking's phenomenal. Yeah. But the best workout to do is the one that you'll do. The best self-love routine is the one that you'll do. The best meditation is the one that you do. Like, it's just, done is better than perfect, and just having that mentality. And I do think as well that whole, it's deep here. Like, this is a whole other podcast, but around that mindset of perfection and always feeling like we have to show up. It does to me feed back into this deep self-love message of when you can love yourself. And I'm not talking bubble baths and face masks. I'm talking look in the mirror and love who you are and fall in love with your imperfections, your perfect imperfections, I think when you can come from that space and authentically show up, done is better than perfect. And you can, you can rock up to a podcast recording a bit sweaty with greasy hair because, done is better than perfect. And that's authentic. So I think it's a big conversation, but ultimately it comes from that place and of self-love.
Mm-hmm. And I think what a lot of people do, I've noticed, is through social media, and I don't want to blame social media because I think social media is amazing. It's a fantastic tool. But what I think has happened in recent years as Instagram and Facebook has really taken off is that the whole comparison.
Ooh,
like that's huge because, you could think, oh, I've woken up today, I've gone for a good walk and I feel great. And then you'll go onto Instagram and you'll see your friend or your a friend of a friend who's done, an hour in the gym and, has just got their kids up and cooking a healthy breakfast. And then you're going, oh, my 15-minute walk around the block, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
So how can we deal? And again, this is what we could talk about this all day, but do you think that whole comparison piece is contributing to our self-worth?
I absolutely do. And you can blame social media. You absolutely can. But I also think the onus of blame should be on ourselves.
Yeah.
The quote used to be, or the quote is that, comparison is the thief of all joy. But I'm like, no. I coach our team. I'm always like, no, comparison is the death of you. Comparison will kill you. Like, comparison will take you out of the game. It will shut you up. It will make you step back. It will make you shut down. But I also think I see it a lot. A lot of women that I even follow friends say, if you get online and this is like unpopular opinion, but it's like, if you get online and you follow accounts and they make you feel about yourself, like, unfollow them. I'm like, I'm of the opinion that it's like, no, if you're getting online and you're getting triggered by a lot of stuff, you've got some work to do.
Yeah.
I would actually encourage you to look within and go, okay, why am I not comparing? Why is that making me feel good? Is it because you're sleeping in? Maybe you should get up a little bit earlier and move your body, whatever it is. But I just think I look at any and all accounts. I'm happy for them. I'm inspired by them. If they're doing better than me, I'm completely inspired by them. So there's no kind of triggers for me at all. If I see a beautiful body, I think, what a friggin' rock star. Like I understand the discipline and the dedication and the determination that goes into that. So I think for me, if we can actually, I suppose it is, take that onus of blame onto, social media. Absolutely. Well, no. We are the masters of social media. We're the ones that are holding the phone and scrolling. Put it back on yourself and ask yourself, okay, why am I getting triggered? Why is me looking at, Sophie's account making me feel like, well, if it's because she's doing really well and looks really happy, and I understand the highlight reel and everything like that, but I don't as well, because I'm like, there's nothing on my Instagram, there's nothing on my social media that's fake. So I struggle with that, but I get it's out there. But I always encourage women to say, if you're looking at an account and it's making you feel like crap, look at why and start there. Yeah. Because if it's because she's doing really well, well, hey, dig deeper.
Yeah. And I'm with you 100%. And I just think that, when I look at somebody, even like yourself, you've got a thriving business, you're in good health, you've got an amazing message to spread. And I just think, wow, I find that inspiring, but then I'm done a lot of work on myself.
Yes.
And I think that's probably the message here is that, put yourself first, work on yourself. Your inner world reflects your outer world. Absolutely. And that's something that you really need to work on every single day. It's like going to the gym and training your muscles, right? You're not just going to wake up and always be in this fantastic frame of mind. It's a daily discipline, and hence why the morning routine and spending time every day on yourself is so important. So,
and it's relatable. Massive. Like what we're talking about is, I know this is like corporate and entrepreneur, like a podcast, but it's like you could be the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. I just heard Sir Richard Branson speak yesterday or the day before. Or you could just be an incredible employee starting out in your journey. It's relative.
Absolutely.
Like, looking after yourself on every level, understanding your values, showing up for yourself first will only make you a better CEO, will make you a better human, will make you a better employee. And that's where it starts for me, 100%.
Absolutely. And the whole point of the podcast is the mind to lead, you know, and everyone's a leader, you know, whether like you're a mom, you're a teacher, you're running a team of 500 people, or you're running yourself every day. You know, everyone is a leader, and it's how do you show up every day in that right mindset, because in that mindset you can achieve incredible things.
Exactly.
So on that note, your business is thriving, and you know, like you're doing so well at the moment. So how do you go about prioritizing your day and sort of, you know, working all that out?
I just trained on this. I love this question. I didn't get told these questions, but this is actually something I'm really passionate about. So I believe if it's not scheduled, it won't get done. And some people are like, no, don't you like spontaneity? I'm like, yeah, it's scheduled in.
Yeah.
Like, which is so counterintuitive. But to me, the freedom is in the discipline, and the freedom is in the scheduling. So I do a lot. I said to Morgs, my husband and I sat the other day, we have a business meeting every morning because we work from home and we work together. And I said to Morgs, okay, I want to get really clear on, so I booked him in, my husband. I'm like, I want you like undisturbed, undistracted. So I booked him in the calendar for a coffee meeting, like, because I'm like, well, this is serious. But, you know, we sat and we worked out, I said, I want to know my three, because he's my greatest lover, like, but my greatest critic. So I'm like, okay, I want to know my 3 greatest strengths and my 3 greatest weaknesses. So I can delegate my weaknesses and I can amplify my strengths. And it's all that did. And why I did that is because I want to up level more and I want to do more. And people are like, how are you going to fit it in? And I'm like, scheduling. So no matter where you're at, no matter what your mums, same thing, because they're like, no, I have kids. I'm like, I get it, but it's schedule it in. So time blocking. So I'm big on, and it doesn't matter how you do it. Again, what's the best way? Paper, digital, just do it. It's just what the best way is, the way that you'll do it. But everything's scheduled. So my workouts are scheduled, my PTs are scheduled, calls are scheduled, meetings are scheduled, holidays are scheduled, everything's scheduled. Spontaneity is scheduled. And I have a lot of white space, I do. But I think as well, when you're trying to establish yourself, you got to be honest. It's hustle and hard. Like it takes work. You know, you can look at someone who's living the life that you want to be living. And I've got heaps of friends, wildly successful, billionaires, truly millionaires. You know, and I could look at them now and think, oh, they're just at the beach all day, and that's perfect. But if you're in the build, if you are still not where you want to be, you got to do the work. And so I schedule. I love white space as well. I take Sundays entirely off. I always say Sundays is my Sabbath.
Yep.
And it's my day to recharge, and I do nothing. Sometimes I go to the beach. Sometimes I just sit and watch Netflix all day, like yesterday.
Amazing.
And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, 6 days of just of scheduling and networking and events and just everything. It's all blocked. And I always say, especially if you work for yourself, people go, I'm my own boss. I'm like, I'm not. My diary is my boss. I have a boss, and it's my freaking electronic schedule that pings me, and it's like, okay, you're in income producing activity time. Okay, no, now you're in team time. Okay, the call's about to start, or get to this event, or whatever it is. So that's how I get it done, and how I really genuinely have a thriving business.
Amazing. Because I think at the moment there's stress, burnout, they're like buzzwords all across the corporate space, especially in entrepreneurship. I think that's this bit of a mentality of like hustle, sleep while you're dead. But
no.
Yeah, how important is finding that balance?
Oh, so I am like, you will probably never meet a more pro sleep person. I've never understood sleep when you're dead. I'm like, no, because then you're dead.
Yeah.
And you can't have fun.
Yeah.
So I'm very pro. So and if balance, because some people are like, balance is bullshit, and I get that. But I would say, I call it harmony. So it's finding the harmony. But it's vital. Like, go and eat. I mean, Thrive by Ariana Huffington is a brilliant book that I read. You know, I mean, I'd already had this ideology and ethos, but she talks about how, you know, and she is a, you know, owner of Huffington Post. She woke up in a pool of her own blood after passing out at a desk just from exhaustion. I was at Success Resources, and one of the speakers said, you know, hustle and something about hustle and, you know, hard work, same thing. And I'm like, oh no, that doesn't sit with me. Yeah. You can work hard, hustle and heart, I call it. But taking care of your mental state, your physical state, your emotional state, your spiritual state is more important than your business. Because if you are not well, then you cannot show up. Like I say to Morgan all the time, I'm like, I'm psychologically unemployable, but I'm like, I would be the best employee because I was like, I haven't been sick in 6 years. Like I was like, I would just, but because I above all else prioritize my health and well-being, and from that space everything flows, and that's scheduled. That sounds crazy, but like that time is scheduled as well. And I, life happens. So I had this, I've had a crazy couple of weeks, and I said to Morgs the other day, like crazy couple of weeks, like. And it's been stressful and it's just been personal stuff and, but business resumed. However, and, I said to my team, because they were like, Anna, how do you do it? How are you still showing up when this is going on? And I said, well, you know what? Life's going to happen. Life's always going to happen. We're going to come up against trauma. We're going to lose loved ones. We're going to kick the wall in frustration. We're going to have bad business deals. We're going to lose money. We're going to lose sleep. All of that's going to happen. You just have to be so steadfast in looking after yourself and knowing where you're going, why you're going there, and look after yourself and have that ideology that you won't stop, but always looking after yourself. And, I was talking a lot about this recently, and then just over the weekend, there was an incredible man who has gone through the worst life I've ever heard of in my life, Michael Crossland, an incredible speaker. But he said, I'm like snot, like, like just the most emotional story. And he said, life is going to deal you cards. Life's just going to deal you these cards. But if you're being dealt these cards, it means you're still in the game. And whilst you're still in the game, you have everything to be grateful for, and you just need to learn how to deal with it. And I loved that. I was like, oh,
yeah, that is
just
amazing.
Keep going.
That is amazing. And gratitude, something that I preach. And I think people can, when I think we get down and depressed and low, it's like we're focusing on the things we don't have. So how important, do you think is having, like, not necessarily a daily gratitude practice, but what do you do every day as well to sort of show that appreciation for life?
No, I'm very grateful. I do have a daily gratitude. So on the emotional, this is like, look it up, guys. Like, it's such a powerful thing to understand. But on the emotional guidance scale system, and it basically explains how when we spiral up, so when we're feeling really good and then we're attracting more things, and then when you're spiraling down. Now, the highest vibrational energy, and we are, at the end of the day, molecules, waves and particles, we are made of them. That's science. That is, you can't refute that. So
I'm nodding here like a nodding dog. I'm like, yes, totally.
It's not woo-woo. It's science. It's quantum physics. We are made of particles. We're right. So on that spectrum, the highest emotional guidance, level of energy is joy and appreciation. So gratitude. So I just think to stay in that vibe of, and that's probably why people are like, your energy, and it's like, I'm grateful. And like I just said, I've had a shocking couple of weeks, and not in business, just personally. But I just still found things to be grateful for. And I'm that person, I'm like, look for it. Seek the things to appreciate. Like, and Morgan says, like, you are this magnet for ridiculousness. Like, we were in a cafe the other day. My favorite thing is jam donuts, and this I'm like paying, and I said, oh, look at this donut, and the chick goes, oh, would you like it? I'm like, no, it's okay. And she's like, no, on me. I'm like, really? And then we walked out, and then someone had sent me like this incredible gift. Like, Morgan's like, you're this ridiculous, like, magnet for ridiculousness. And I'm like, but I'm just so grateful. And I know it's because on the emotional guidance scale, it's the highest form of magnetism. And what I really believe, what you appreciate appreciates. So if you appreciate your employees, if you appreciate your good times, if you appreciate, the blessings and the abundance, you're only going to attract more of that. So important.
I totally agree. And you always find these people that just life doesn't ever seem to sort of go their way, and
surprise.
I don't think that's a coincidence, but that's a whole different topic. So obviously, look, a successful entrepreneur, and I use the word success always loosely because I think everyone defines success in different ways. So in your view, how do you explain and express what does success look like to you?
Success to me is such a good question, and it's like loaded in a sense for me, but I think truly, if I really got to the bottom of it. I think that success is when my head hits the pillow every single night. I'm genuinely happy. Like I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of what I have accomplished in the day, whether it is minute or major. I'm proud of the impact I'm having. I'm proud of the woman I'm becoming. And I'm proud of, just the impact and it's integrity. I think success to me is integrity. So doing what I say I'm going to do, having an impact, and of course with that comes financial success, of course. But when your head hits a pillow, if you aren't living with integrity, for me, aren't living with integrity, you're not in a body that, is thriving, you don't have relationships that are thriving, you can be the wealthiest person on the planet and the most well-known, but not be happy. And I think success is that deep, innate, sincere happiness. And for me, that is when that head hits the pillow, sleeping well, because I'm proud of all of those things. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of what I'm doing. I'm proud of the impact. I'm proud of my attempts. I'm proud of my failures. I'm proud of all of it. That's success.
And that's it. That's really interesting. Is it's not what you're aiming towards. It's the person you become.
Exactly.
Whilst, aiming for that big goal, whatever it may be. And, I think that it's a really interesting journey that I think a lot of people need to go on. But I think if you can define what success looks like for you, and if it's not, I feel like success shouldn't be like necessarily an end goal. It should just be something that you sort of do daily, and reflecting on that sort of, what have I done today to move myself forward, and then still focusing on things that you can be proud of every day.
Exactly.
And if you can have that mindset, what a beautiful place to live by every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just, life isn't guaranteed. I say this to Morgan. I feel like I'm getting older. I'm 31, but 32 soon. Mum's like, stop saying that. You're not 32 yet. I'm like, J-Mac, please, I want to say I feel like I look okay.
You look fab.
But I say to Mum all the time, like I say to everyone all the time, I'm like, we're just not invincible. Like no day is guaranteed at all. And I think that's, to me, the most important part. And it's that, I think, I was going to say Branson, it wasn't, it was Steve Jobs, that every day he looked in the mirror and asked himself the question, if today was my last day on earth, would I be happy what I'm doing? And if the answer was no, he wouldn't do it. He would change it. And I think it's a beautiful way to live. And I think there'll be a lot of people that listen to this that, are but are employees and not necessarily business owners. But it's like, I think, you can start there as well. Like, okay, if today was your last day and you weren't happy with doing what you were going to do from a work perspective, that's okay. But who are you outside of that?
Yeah.
What's the impact you're having outside of that? How are you showing up in integrity? What is the joy you're bringing to yourself and then to people around you? What's the gratitude practice that you can, start in your day? So when your head does hit the pillow, regardless of the money you're making, the job that you're doing, as a person, are you genuinely happy? And I think that's the most important part.
Amazing. And do you think there's a difference between happiness and fulfillment?
Ooh, no. I think I'm happy because I'm fulfilled, and I'm fulfilled because I'm happy.
Yeah.
So I mean, yes, but I think they're just very intertwined. Like salt and, I was going to say, hot chips and champagne. Like, can you have one without the other? No.
I guess it's like joy and gratitude as well, isn't it? It's like you can't have one. You can't be joyful and not feel grateful.
Exactly.
So it's kind of all linked together. I love that. So for those people out there that are an employee and want to start their own business, what advice would you give to those people right now?
I always say, and I do a lot of mentoring with youth, and they're weapons, they're incredible individuals. And I always say, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. So it's just like, don't wait for $1 million. Don't wait for this big genius idea. It's just, okay, what are you most complimented on right now? Like, what are the services or products that you can bring to the world? What do you have resources available to you? It could be relationships. It could be amazing networks. It could be what's your skill set? And then how can you start today? Stop putting it off and stop thinking that it has to be perfect. Done is better than perfect. So it's just like, start. I did a podcast the other day with a youth, and he was like, okay, like the $10,000 business. And I'm like, well, they're youth. I was like, well, literally take what you are most passionate about. Like, what are you most complimented on right now? The end goal is 10 grand for them in 30 days. And then we broke that down. So it was like, and I said, you could be an amazing dog walker. it could be that you nail social media. Like you're really good at it. You're not an influencer, but you're really good at it. Well, that's a service-based skill. Like you could start a VA, a virtual assistant business. It's just start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. And don't wait for tomorrow because it's just not promised.
Yeah. And don't be afraid of failure as well.
Yeah. Oh, well, failure is beautiful. It's part of it.
Absolutely. We've all failed. And there's not one single successful entrepreneur or business owner that I've spoken to who has not had some kind of failure.
Oh,
but it's how you bounce back.
Exactly. It's how you deal with it.
Yeah.
It's a learn. And like there's different schools of thought. Like, no, failure is a failure. I just think failure is a beautiful learning. It's like how you just learn how to not do that thing, and so you can do it differently. It's just fall in love with your failures because it's going to happen. Yeah. But just tomorrow is not guaranteed. And if you aren't living the life that you want, in the body that you want, with the income that you want, with the relationships that you want, you are the author of your life, and it is up to you to make the impact, to make the change, to step up, to show up. You've just got to decide today to do that.
And then work on yourself daily to keep in the right headspace, to keep in the right mindset. Surround yourself with positive people who are going to help you get there as well. Because I think we would both agree that who you surround yourself is who you become.
Absolutely.
And very, choiceful of who I let into my inner world, because I do believe in energy, and I think that there's some beautiful positive people I have in my life now, and they're in my life for a reason. And I think that's when you're starting a new business as well, you want to be around those types of people.
Absolutely.
100%. We love 100%. So final 100%. Question. What is the impact that you want to have in the world?
I believe I've never really been asked this question. So I always say, like, it's a bit deep and woo-woo, but I remember listening to the Dalai Lama for the first time in my life. We had a private audience in Parliament with him, and he said the quote, I'd heard it before, but not from his mouth, in front of him. He said, "The Western woman will change the world." And I just have always said it was like an anointment on me. It was like he was only speaking to me. It was like, that's my job in this world, to help women, not Western, but that's his quote. So I don't want to misquote him, but I just believe my role is embodiment of creating this, unbelievable life for myself, first and foremost, showing women what that looks like and having a massive impact to then go, I always say my oxygen mask is on first, and then putting it on millions of women around the world to help them impact their world, because they are the nucleus of the family's universe, of the home's universe. And I think if I can impact every woman in every household around the world, that household impacts the neighbors, and then the neighbors impact the community, and then the community impacts the society, and then a society impacts a suburb impacts a state impacts a nation, and a nation impacts the world. So for me, it's just starting on that molecular scale of impacting women through my events, through my speaking, through my business, through health, through fitness, through empowerment, in every single way, to own her life, to change her life, just like I keep saying, step up, show up, speak up, live the life of financial security, of health, of wealth, of abundance, and impact her household and herself and change the world.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And for those who just want to find out more about you, where should they go?
To the bar. No, I'm kidding. Wherever there's champagne. No, I hang out. I'm big on social media. I love social media. I'm on both Instagram and Facebook. So Instagram's just my name, Anna Richards, or Anna Rose Richards. And then Facebook, same. So I'm the unmissable bright red copper hair girl. So come hang out.
And on that as well, if anyone who doesn't follow Anna, I highly encourage you to. She's very entertaining, messages are absolutely beautiful, and she's just an absolute inspiration. So
thank you so beautiful much. It's been a ball.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Mindfully podcast. If you enjoyed it, please share it with at least one of your friends, and please leave a comment. Please like this podcast. It would mean the world to me. Let's connect. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. Georgie Hubbard on LinkedIn. Georgie L. Hubbard on Instagram. I hope you have a beautiful day. I look forward to bringing you lots more content, lots more value, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.